Hello friendos and randos. Today we're going to be making somewhat of a guide video on, of course, one of the best, or probably the best deck in format for OPO5, which is Blue Black Sakazuki. So I think the most important thing about playing Sakazuki is, for one, understanding how and what to cycle, and number two, understanding how to do your removal in the most efficient way possible. So efficiency is really the name of the game when it comes to Sakazuki. And the key thing here is really about making sure that you have the pieces that you need in order to make your ideal movement as much as possible. So ideal movement is really about playing on curve, as well as making sure that you have the correct removal for any of your opponent's moves. So I'm going to show you generally what you're looking for in terms of your cycling, and then that will teach you how you want to do your discards and such so that you can meet these ideal movements. And of course, I'll be using my list as reference for what ideal movements are. So if you haven't seen my list yet, my top 16 BCF list in Indonesia, the link should be up here, just for your reference. So generally in Sakazuki, you want to be going second, but I'll be showing you the curve for first as well as second, just so you have an idea of what you're expecting. So generally for your first turn, you don't really have much to do, but when I'm going first, I tend to just cast Great Eruption into the air, just to draw the card and cycle my deck a little bit faster. Because I'm looking for very specific pieces when I'm playing as Sakazuki going first. So after I do that on the first turn, I'm going to do either of these two options on my 3-Don turn, which is OT or brand new. So these two are both very good options. OT for one demands an answer, and brand new of course lets you find your pieces that you're going to be looking for in the next 2 turns. So the 5-Don turn, generally what I'm looking to do is one of the following. If I played OT the previous turn, I'm going to look to do Rebecca into Hina, into OT effect to bottom whatever character they play. Otherwise, I'm looking to do Hina and then Houndblaze to boost the brand new and swing 6 and 8, 5 and then 6k. So this is generally the flow that you're looking for, and you are going to be discarding in order to look for this flow, which is why as Sakazuki, I've seen many a player just discard the Hina right away, especially when you're going first, but generally you want to be grabbing this Hina to play down on your 5-Don turn, so you don't want to just randomly discard that, even if you can grab it back with Rebecca later, because that will leave you with very few options on your 5-Don turn. Of course, other good options for your 5-Don turn are cards like Sabo, Kuzan, as well as Borsalino. But I generally do prefer the Hina Blaze route the best still. On your 7th turn, generally, you're going to be playing the 7-cost Borsalino to remove whatever your opponent played on their 5-Don turn, on their 6th turn. The current meta revolves very little around 6-cost characters because of Purple Luffy playing the 9-cost Kaido. So because of that, 7-cost Borsa is really good. Most decks will be playing a 5-cost character on their 6th turn, which will help you to remove that on curve. Other options are, of course, again, Hina and then Lucci for 7. So you can again KO a 6-cost character if they do happen to play it, or you can KO any combo of 5+2 or anything like that as well. So this is generally the flow that you can kind of expect moving from left to right. And the other option that you can do on 7 is Kuzan, Ice Age, and then Houndblaze for your removal. So this sets you up on your 7-Don turn to remove anything they play on 8 with Kuzan Swing plus Borsalino on your 9-Don turn. So this is another way you can look at setting up your ideal curve. But generally, these are the main options that you kind of expect for your first 4 turns as playing Sakazuki going first. On 9, generally, because my deck plays Mihawk, that is the number 1 play that I'm looking to make. Alternatively, you can also do something like Eruption and Borsalino or Ice Age and Borsalino to remove things accordingly. But I play Mihawk because I think it's one of the strongest 1-card answers in the game that is available to this deck, because 9 hitting 8 costs on curve is really powerful. And on 10-Don, you can play Eruption plus Mihawk to remove basically anything in the game. So this is the going first line that you are almost always going to be looking for. This also means that when you're cycling your cards and looking for what to discard, generally you are discarding anything that doesn't contribute to this line of play. So you don't want to actually discard your Hina in these first 2 turns unless you have multiples, and even if you have multiples, sometimes it's better to discard something else and then grab 2k counter with your Rebecca so that you can just play the Hina from your hand instead. When you cycle the Hina, there's no guarantee that you're going to get counter back. However, if you keep the Hina in hand and then use your Rebecca to cycle your 2k counters, you're definitely getting a 2k counter from trash. Next up, we're going to talk about the going second curve. So going second, of course, you're going on the 2, 4, 6, 8 curve. That generally means you're going with brand new into either Kuzan, Ulti, or Borsalino. So these are generally the plays that you're looking for on your 4 Dawn turn. 6 Dawn is actually pretty flexible, but generally what you're looking for is some combo of Hina and Houndblaze again. So you can see the trend with going first as well. You want to establish a body as well as remove one of your opponent's bodies, and then also make a big swing with Houndblaze on this turn. Because you're at 6 Dawn, you can also combo this with the Rebecca. Or if you rank Kuzan, you can even play down a second Borsalino here, and then just use the Kuzan plus Houndblaze to remove whatever character was there. And then 8 Dawn, of course, you have the very common Rebecca, Hina, Lucci combo, which will let you KO a very vast variety of cost combinations, but the most common, of course, is 5 plus 3, 6 plus 2, 7 plus 1. So you'll be able to hit your opponent's 7 cost unit as well as maybe a searcher if they had it. So for example, 7 Mum and Pudding, you'll be able to clear both using this Rebecca Hina Lucy combo. Alternatively, of course, there is going to just be Eruption plus Borsalino, which will KO a 7 cost character, bottom deck a 7 cost character using your leader effect -1 as well. So this is the general curve that you're playing towards. And again, you are going to cycle looking for these specific options and answers. By having these options and answers on your board and being able to clear accordingly, you will be able to make plays and decisions on your cycling in order to meet this pattern as well as to try and achieve this as much as possible. The Sakazuki deck is very consistent because of its ability to be able to cycle 1 card every turn, and also because you do have your searchers and you have card draw advantages such as with Kuzan, with Brand New, and also with the 5 cost Sabo. So all of these cards make it possible to lead this ideal movement as much as possible. So let's give an example. This is 5 cards that I drew. We're looking at our starting hand like this. Which card do I generally want to cycle if we are going second? So we're planning our curve around this. The plan we made earlier. Generally, you will cycle Sabo. Then draw a card. So now we have access to a 4 Dawn play that is better than just slamming Lucci. So that's great. I am going to keep the Eruption in case we need to use it on the 6 Dawn turn, because right now, what's looking like our 6 Dawn turn is probably something like this. So our 4 Dawn turn is already set. We're planning ahead. So let's say we end our turn, we take a life card, and we draw another card. Perfect. Now we have an even better 4 Dawn turn, 6 Dawn turn instead with this. And we also have our Rebecca Hina Lucci combo for our 8 Dawn turn. So what do we end up cycling here? Most likely the Hina, because our Rebecca Hina Lucci combo on here will grab the Hina back from trash. So this turn we play down the Borsalino, cycle the Hina, draw 1 card. Okay, great. Now we can even do Rebecca Hina into Blaze on the 6 Dawn turn. Back to cycling again. Draw 1 card. Alright, so here we are. We have our next 2 turns basically planned out already. Our 8 Dawn turn is going to be Rebecca Hina Lucci, and our 10 Dawn turn is likely going to be Rebecca again, and then we'll see what we can do. This means that what we cycle here is likely going to be Great Eruption. Then we grab another Hina. Okay. So here, Rebecca, grab Hina, and then Blaze. So we've met this curve again. Now we draw another card. And our 8 Dawn turn is very simple. First we cycle this Hina, since we don't have any 2k counters grabbable off of the trash. draw another card, and then we do our Rebecca, Hina, Lucci combo. So you see, this is probably an extreme example since we did draw very well. But what you're cycling is always looking at the next few turns in order to cycle correctly. It's not always just see Hina, drop Hina. It's really a matter of planning ahead and then being able to answer what your opponent is going to play. The thing about Sakazuki is that you have to be understanding of what the opponent is likely going to be playing towards on their own individual perfect ideal lines of curve. And by being aware of those things, you will be able to counter accordingly. Let's give another example with the going first curve in mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we don't have a turn 1 play and we didn't draw brand new either, but we do have Tashigi available. In this case, we do want to keep Eruption because it is an option on the 5 non-turn since we didn't draw the Hound Blaze. So we are able to do Eruption Lucci on 5 if necessary. So what I would plan to do here is probably discard the Sabo. And now since we've top decked the Hound Blaze, I feel comfortable enough to drop down the Great Eruption to draw another card. And this sets us up for the 3 down turn instead. Now it's our 3 down turn, we draw a card. We drew into Rebecca, which is nice. So if I didn't draw this brand new, I would have done Tashigi instead. But because we did draw the brand new, we'll search. And then grab the Ice Age. Now we also have 2k counters in the trash, grabbable off Rebecca. So at this point, we're missing the 7 cost Bossa. So I'm planning to do Lucci and Ice Age on my 7 dawn turn. So generally, the option here is to cycle the Tashigi. Then draw a card. Now it's our 5 dawn turn, we draw a card. And then I have planned the next 7 dawn turn to be Ice Age Lucci. And the 9 dawn turn is probably going to be a Rebecca combo. So we're going to do the Hina Hound Blaze. And then we're going to cycle the Borsalino. And draw a card. Now we have a better option for 7 with Hina plus Lucci. Okay. Now 7 dawn turn, we draw a card. We drew into Hound Blaze. So instead of Hina Lucci, we can also do Rebecca Hina Hound Blaze. So now I'm considering which is the better option. And this is where you decide based on your opponent's board as well as which matchup you're playing into. Now, because I have Ice Age Lucci still, I want to be able to keep this Lucci for the next turn instead. Because Hina Hound Blaze hits a 6 cost, which my opponent just did their 6 down turn. And then this can hit a 8 cost if I needed it to. So Hina Hound Blaze hits up to 7 cost and Ice Age Lucci can hit up to 8 cost. So I'm going to be doing Rebecca Hina Hound Blaze here. So I'm going to drop the Hina because at this point there's no other cards that I want to cycle since I will need them for my 9 dawn turn. And then I'm going to drop Rebecca Hina Hound Blaze. Now I've planned my 9 dawn turn already. I draw 1 card. I'm going to cycle the Borsalino and then draw 1 card. And then I can do Ice Age Rebecca into Lucci. So 9 dawn would be Rebecca. I can grab a 2k counter from my trash. And then I Ice Age and then Lucci. And KO 8 cost character. So we're looking at really, again, answering every play on curve as much as possible. And if not, then we want to drop either a Borsalino, a Rebecca, or a Sabo in order to protect us that turn that we couldn't remove from our opponent's board. This is the real strength of Sakazuki, making sure that you only take 1 attack every turn. Now that you know what ideal game states are to play around, you also need to be able to get yourself out of non-ideal game states. So when you have hands that are all 2k counters and no removal, it's very obvious that you just clear the 2k counters in order to draw more removal. Sometimes you also draw hands where you only have blockers and guard. Things like this. Hands like this are very difficult to handle because it's not clear how you should be able to cycle in order to get to your next pieces. However, generally, if you have to discard something that is not a playable piece, you will just discard your counter so that you can get to the rest of your deck faster. I personally prefer to keep Rebecca and Borsalino as much as I can because they are able to be played down on the board. So if my 4-dawn turn is not great, I can still play down the Rebecca and then continue drawing until I hit the pieces that I need. Another example is, let's say I draw brand new here. I can drop the Borsalino, draw another card, and then drop Rebecca, grab the Borsalino, and play down the brand new from my hand. And then I can cycle through more cards again. And this way I can grab things that I need, like Hina. So the deck has a lot of ways to unbreak yourself. If you really draw all 8 of your 2k counters, you of course still can play Tashigi on the board. Or if you don't have removal, you still want to be able to play down blockers or to be able to attack with your brand new and things like that. The main thing about the deck is it is consistent because of the fact that you see twice as many cards as most other players in other decks. On top of that, when brand new mills cards, you can also take them back from the trash with Rebecca, which makes things all very, very consistent. So make sure that you're planning ahead and looking at your next few turns in order to really get that consistent results that you're looking for with your Sakazuki. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to drop a like and let me know in the comment section, and then maybe I'll be making more of this style of video for other leaders in the future as well. I think what's really important is to make sure that you understand going second, going first, what's the different curves that you have in mind, and then of course what's the different curves that your opponent has in mind. One notable example for how that going first and going second curve changes is with Purple Luffy, and because of the fact that they are able to ramp faster and they are also able to de-ramp you, your curve will change dramatically depending on how they draw as well as what they put down. At the end of the day, as long as you're able to understand how the deck functions as well as the different outs that you have to different units and your opponent's perfect curves and what they are looking to do on an ideal level, then you'll be able to answer accordingly and play to your own ideal level. This ideal scenario is really crafted to basically what happens when your opponents play on their ideal curve, and usually fits decks that are playing maybe one character per turn. Of course, this changes when you're playing against different decks. For example, Red Zoro, you would be looking to use Lucci a lot more often. Against decks like Red Purple Luffy, you would need more Ice Ages or cards that are able to reduce cost significantly and to save them for the later parts of the game, like your Hina as well. For more in-depth guides as well as for more in-depth guidance and advice on Sakazuki, I do still provide coaching, so make sure to drop me a message if that's something you're keen on. Otherwise, thank you again for watching this video. I appreciate all of the support as always. Friendos and randos, and peace out. Bye bye.